you would always want to be on the side of having good credit.
Do you think it pays to have good credit? All right. What's going on, James? I thank you so much for joining the It Pays to Have Good Credit podcast episode, man. And in this episode, I really wanted to get with you specifically because I feel like we have I guess, the relationship to talk about things a little past credit repair, although we're both in the industry here. There's been a lot of things going on in the financial world right now. And, hopefully for any of our audience that's listening or watching this episode, someone's out there is going to learn something from this episode. So, as always, I always like to introduce anyone who takes their time to join a episode like this, man. And, I just want to greet you and let the audience know where you're coming from. You're out of Dallas, Texas. Your business is bettercreditforyou.com. But let's start off, man. How and why did you get into the credit repair industry, first of all?
That's a good question. Really, it was for my own personal use.
Yeah.
I had excellent credit for decades, probably 30 years, probably the last handful of years. I made, I'm not ashamed to say that I made a educated decision to file personal bankruptcy.
Mhm.
And the reason I did that was, kind of obvious, but um, right before it started to be finalized, right before it was discharged officially,
Right.
I started to think to myself, man, you hear everything about it stays on your credit for 10 years, kind of haunts you, all these things. I just started thinking, man, there's got to be a way around this. It seems like in this day and age, there's a way around everything.
Yep.
So long story short, I started doing some research, started poking around online, different, avenues, came up with some information on how you can kind of legally challenge that, if you will. And I did. And I got it removed from one bureau at first, and I
Yep.
was I was blown away. I didn't think it was real.
Right.
And then I followed the same process, got it removed from another bureau, and right now I'm still honestly fighting with the final bureau, TransUnion, to try to get it
Yep.
removed from them. But
Of course.
you know, and then a light bulb went off. I was like, man,
Yeah.
does anybody know about this? Is it? I can't be the only one, obviously. And then that kind of exposed me to the world of credit repair, and that it's a thing. It's a way to help people. So.
Right, absolutely. I also see, man, once you've gotten started with your business, you didn't wait around. Once you got your website going, you started getting clients, you started marketing. I was actually playing around on your website right before I started this episode, and man, as soon as I got to your website, boom, check out our new book, and it looks like
Yeah.
you just published a new ebook. Tell us about that. I believe the title is what is it? Credit repair disputes that work or something like
Yeah,
that.
exactly,
Yep.
exactly. Yeah, I just recently, just this week, launched an ebook as well as a paperback version on
Hey,
Amazon.
so it's fresh.
Um, yeah, yeah, it's out. It's available. You can look it up. It's called Credit Repair Disputes at Work.
Yep.
It's under the my pen name is James Joseph, which is my middle name.
Yep.
So just, Credit Repair James Joseph, you can find it if you're interested, or you can go to the website, bettercreditforyou.com. But yeah, I think when I started out, I was pretty diligent in getting the business structure and kind of having a
Yep.
plan of attack. And then that's kind of shifted from my original plan. Originally, it was just let's get as many clients as possible,
Yeah.
help as many people, so to speak. Now I've kind of shifted gears just a little bit to offer almost more of a boutique style credit repair. I
Yeah.
really like to incorporate a consultation, more of a consultative approach with folks, hence the book.
Hmm.
I try to educate people beyond just, hey, this is what's on your credit, I'll get it off. I try to help people understand why that happened, offer some
Right.
products like secured credit cards, maybe if they're trying to rebuild their credit.
Exactly.
I actually got lucky. I didn't have to go the route of secured cards to rebuild my credit. Probably within 3 or 4 months of getting my own bankruptcy discharged,
Yep.
I was approved for regular unsecured credit cards. So I kind of walk folks through that process. So yeah, so that's kind of been the shift a little bit, more of a boutique style consultative approach.
Right, absolutely. Yeah, man. I mean, you've been doing a great job. Your website is pretty easy to use. You have all of your information right there available. It's not one of those things to where people are scrolling on your website and they don't know what you offer. They don't know who you are. I mean, you have your About Us section that's right there that kind of gives a background on yourself and a little bit on your story, that you just mentioned. So, that's very great that you have that out there for any leads that are coming through your website or anyone that just, curious to see if you're a legit person or not. So, I mean, that's very transparent what you did there with your website, man. So that's great. So we're going to go on and roll on to this episode, man. Now that everyone kind of got the feel for who you are and see the great guy that you are, man. The first topic that I want to go over is, for mainly us both here, we deal with a lot of clients who mainly need credit repair because they are in the market of trying to buy a home. Of course, we're going to always get some of those people who are trying to buy a vehicle or they just want to fix their credit just for any general reasons. But 95% of the consumers that we come across, they are trying to increase their credit scores, build, repair, whatever the case is. They are trying to get guidance so they can purchase their first home, refinance their home, or just buy a second, third, fourth, whatever home. So they're trying to purchase real estate. So I noticed recently there was a article that was released maybe, I don't know, 2 weeks ago, and it said something like Fannie Mae is no longer going to require credit scores when it comes to requirements in order to be approved for a mortgage. Now, going back here, I'm always the guy who catches some of these misleading things that's out there in the world. Same thing in the credit repair space. There's people that, which we're going to get into later, that they're always advertising, oh, I can fix your credit in 24 hours or 72 hours and you're all done. I can wipe off every single thing. So when I see articles like that, in my head, I almost look at the deeper picture. So, in my opinion, I'm like, okay, everyone's getting excited, everyone's jumping up. And then I actually read the article and I was like, okay, this isn't really going to change anything. So did you see that article come across or seen that topic over the last week or so?
Yeah, I did. There's it seems like things like that kind of come out frequently or have come out frequently in the last 12 months or so.
Yep.
It's kind of a funny thing because when I got started in credit repair, I really did a lot of research on the Fair Credit Reporting Act.
Yep.
That a lot of people don't know. I didn't know at the time. That's a congressional act. Congressional laws that go back to the 70s.
Mm.
And I think it's funny that Fannie Mae or government bodies, whatever you want to call them, they're trying to change these rules, but they're the ones that really made them to begin with. So
Yep.
it's hard to say. I think a lot of people may find this unusual for me to say, but credit scores are kind of really a made up thing.
Yeah.
They're a made
Yeah.
up, they're a made up number really to kind of assess people. The Fair Credit Reporting Act was originally designed to create a competition among lenders in order to benefit borrowers, because the idea
Mm.
was if there's only one lender and you need, let's say, a mortgage, well, they pretty much have all the power. So Congress
Dang.
enacted these laws and these policies. They're federal laws, they're federal statutes. So anybody could look that up. But they enacted these in order to create competition, which means, maybe this lender A could give you a better terms than lender B. You have options as a consumer. Now, I think that is over the last, 40, 50 years, that has
Yeah.
changed quite a bit. Really not in the best interest of the consumer. But if they eliminate the FICO scores or the FICO requirement, credit score requirement altogether, fantastic.
Yeah.
I mean, really, if that helps more people be a homeowner,
Right.
then I'm
Exactly.
all for it.
Yeah, there's a few people in our industry, they were freaking out. They're like, oh no, if credit scores don't matter, we're going to go out of business or people won't need a credit score anymore. And I'm like, no, it doesn't work like that. So
Yeah.
according to what I read, I could be wrong. For anyone who's watching or listening, drop it down in the comments if, I am, misleading a little bit. But according to what I believe I read, it stated that they are attempting or they have removed the credit score requirement as of November 16th, I believe. And what that means is the actual score, it's not going to be a approval odd anymore. It's not going to be a factor when it comes to applying for a mortgage. However, they're still going to use your credit report. So if you have any collections within the last 24 months, charge-offs in the last 24 months, 15 repossessions, on your credit, that is going to be a factor. In my honest opinion, I think that is good that they are going to get away with the whole credit score stuff, because at the end of the day, like you just mentioned, credit scores is, I guess, not really a major factor. It's just a quick yes or no
Right.
for lenders that's out there. That's probably going to be like, yeah, look, you got the score. Let's actually look into your reports and let's look into your income, your debt to income ratio and things like that. But if somebody have a 500 credit score, they don't have to waste their time. That number just gives them a quick no, like, nah, you need to
Right.
work on yourself a little bit more. So I look at it this way. If you take let's say someone in their, late 40s, early 50s, and they're interested in buying, a second property, maybe a vacation home or something like that. And, they have their funds in line and they luckily haven't been able to finance anything over the last 7 to 10 years. So therefore, all of their older history has, begun to fall off, or they're barely hanging on for the next year or two in their credit report, and their scores are maybe in the lower 600s or upper 500s. So if they go to run their credit, they're not going to have a 750 credit score because they don't have much reporting to their credit. However, a lender can look at their scores and be like, oh, wow, you have bad credit, So that's why I agree with the whole credit score thing being a myth, because it really doesn't dive deeply into the person's situation. I think they know that. So, I mean, I think this is almost like a marketing strategy, to a point, because at the end of the day, they're still going to look at your credit, when it comes to trying to borrow $500,000 to buy a house. They're not just going to
Right.
give you that and not judge your credit profile at all.
Yeah, no, I think those are logical points, fair points for sure. Some of these algorithms, and these auto approvals, maybe a little credit card, or not, maybe not as a
Yeah.
major purchase as a house or a car. It might pick up that credit score, and like you said, just a quick yes or no. They're probably, the automated approvals are probably not hitting all the, the lines of credit on there, the trade lines, analyzing them. That's probably not happening. But yeah, like you said, if they don't use the credit scores, they're still going to look at other things. They have, human underwriters to check these things out. So I'm pretty sure there's still going to be a need to have a factual and accurate credit report for sure.
Right.
Stirgus Credit Repair. Stirgus Credit Repair. If you want a new house, call us. If you need